Viewers, before we dive in, drop a comment with your city, your country, and the exact time you're watching this. Let's see just how far this story travels. Derek Holbrook trudges up his gravel driveway in the fading gold light suit jacket. Creased tie loosened the scent of funeral lilies still clinging to him like a weight he can't shake. He's just buried his father, a man who'd taken his coffee under the same oak tree every morning for decades, and all he wants is to go inside and sit in silence. Instead, his breath catches halfway between his truck and the porch. The oak planted by his great-grandfather in 1923 is split. Not trimmed, not removed, halved down the middle like a cartoon magician's prop, except no one's laughing. The smell of raw sap mixes with diesel fumes, and standing beside the carnage is Pristine Cartwright, HOA president, clipboard in one hand, smug grin in place. She looks like she's just scored points in a neighborhood tennis match, not destroyed a living monument. She waves an emergency work order in his direction as if paper could excuse the chainsaw wounds. Derek barely hears her spiel about dangerous branches and imminent threats. Historians still argue whether her smirk in that moment was smugness or the first crack in someone trying too hard to look in control. He's thinking about his dad's chair under those branches, about wedding photos and graduation caps tossed in their shade. Word spreads before the sawdust even settles. Neighbors pull out their phones, snapping photos like it's performance art. By nightfall, those pictures are bouncing around social media faster than a meme about free pizza. Comments call it accidentally profound suburban surrealism. Some compare it to Salvador Dali's dreamscapes. Others say it looks like Mother Nature having a bad haircut day. Derek doesn't laugh. Not yet. Mrs. Olivia, his 83-year-old neighbor with sharper eyes than a hawk and security cameras that never sleep, knocks on his door the next morning. In her hand, a USB drive. On it, footage of Pristine measuring and photographing the oak hours before filing any so-called emergency paperwork. She'd come prepared with a tape measure like she was mapping a crime scene long before the funeral had even begun. That's the moment Derek knows this isn't an overzealous HOA trimming trees. This is a setup. And if Pristine thinks she's the only one who can play long games in the neighborhood, she's about to learn otherwise. Within a week, the half-tree isn't just neighborhood gossip. It's a destination. Photographers haul tripods worth more than Derek's truck teenagers pose for prom pictures in front of the jagged trunk, and one coffee shop starts selling half-tree lattes. The local visitors bureau even lists it between world's largest ball of barbed wire and a restaurant shaped like a cactus. Pristine, true to form, declares this fame-proof the tree is a distraction hazard and demands it be removed entirely. She's oblivious to the fact that the internet has already branded her Chainsaw Karen, and every old HOA horror story in the county is being reposted alongside photos of her handiwork. One post features her citing a veteran for flying an American flag 2 inches too large. Another shows her scolding a family for parking their wheelchair van in their own driveway. Derek, fueled by grief and black coffee, starts digging through HOA bylaws. He finds the magic clause: any emergency work over $500 needs board approval and competitive bidding. No exceptions. He's got Mrs. Olivia's footage, and then she drops the real Jim financial records showing Pristine paid her brother-in-law $200 for the tree job. No bids, no permits, no board consent. Historians still argue whether this was pure arrogance or desperation. Jake Morrison, a lawyer friend of a friend, calls it something else: textbook embezzlement bait. The paper trail doesn't stop at the tree. Jake's forensic contact uncovers nearly $50,000 in HOA funds funneled to relatives through urgent landscaping, fencing, and even a consulting firm run from a P.O. box. Meanwhile, the tourist boom is making everyone accept Pristine money. Peterson across the street charges $5 to use her bathroom. The Henderson Kids Lemonade stand could fund a small country. Even the grumpy teens next door are hawking bottled water for $1.50. Pristine's counterattack comes in a thick envelope: cease and desist for defamation, plus a greatest hits list of Derek's violations, truck in the driveway mailbox, the wrong shade of black garage projects disturbing the peace, daily fines stacked like pancakes. But Derek's not folding. Mrs. Olivia's camera cache and Jake's legal arsenal grow daily. They're piecing together a timeline. The tree wasn't a hazard, it was a liability to Pristine. The oak is specifically listed in the 1947 property deed as a heritage specimen protected in perpetuity. If the upcoming insurance audit found it, her no-bid contract game would unravel. Cutting it down wasn't maintenance, it was evidence destruction. And now it's a ticking bomb in her own backyard, because the county, the insurance company, and maybe even the feds are starting to sniff around. By the time Pristine calls an emergency HOA meeting to vote on removing the half-tree entirely, the community center looks like a prize fight venue. Folding chairs scrape the floor, the air smells of disinfectant, and nerves and 3 news vans idle outside. She comes armed with a landscaper's PowerPoint and a petition signed by 37 of her hand-picked allies. Then Jake stands briefcase in hand and drops the property deed like a royal flush. It confirms the tree's heritage status, protected under environmental law. Removal requires permits, impact studies, and historical board approval. He follows it with proof of the no-bid $200 contract to her brother-in-law, financial records of repeated violations, and the kicker, Mrs. Olivia's time-stamped footage showing she planned the emergency hours before filing the order. The room goes so quiet the fluorescent lights hum like bees. Pristine's landscaper studies his shoes. In the back, someone starts slow clapping. Within seconds, half the room is on their feet. The vote to remove the tree is postponed indefinitely. 3 board members resign on the spot. The next blow lands harder. Jake's team uncovers fraudulent insurance claims tied to Pristine's family businesses, and the FBI shows up with search warrants. Her plan to dissolve the HOA and transfer its assets in a rushed Monday meeting backfires spectacularly when federal agents attend as guests. Mid-sentence Detective Rodriguez steps forward and cuffs her for embezzlement, fraud, and destruction of protected environmental resources. At the city hearing days later, wearing an orange jumpsuit that clashes with her skin tone, Pristine launches into a 10-minute rant about conspiracies and jealous neighbors. Derek simply takes the mic and says, "You cut my family's tree while I buried my father." This was never about safety, it was about power. The chamber erupts in applause. The council votes unanimously to designate the tree as a protected landmark, build a small park around it, and pursue full restitution. 6 months later, the Heritage Tree Festival draws thousands, pumping over $50,000 into local businesses. Pristine is banned from HOA boards for life. Her real estate license gone. Her marriage dissolved and her bank account lighter by $67,000 in repayments and legal fees. The oak, scarred but standing, sprouts new growth branches, curving in ways nature never intended, but beautiful because they survived. Children on school trips learn about environmental law and civic courage under its canopy. Derek sometimes sits there with Sarah Olivia, Mrs. Olivia's granddaughter, sipping coffee and quietly marveling that a chainsaw meant to erase his family's history ended up carving it into local legend. Now the pace slows and the air feels softer somehow. The festival crowds have gone home, leaving the park in that in-between stillness. Shadows, long air cooling, the faint rustle of leaves catching the last daylight. Derek leans back on the bench beneath the oak, watching how the wounded trunk rises stubborn and graceful toward a sky-washed pale gold. A breeze carries the scent of desert sage and something faintly sweet from the food carts still packing up on the street beyond. It's quiet enough to hear the creak of the tree's oldest limbs, like a voice clearing its throat before telling a story it's kept for 100 years. He imagines his great-grandfather, hands rough from the war, pressing the first sapling into this soil, never knowing it would outlast feuds, storms, and even the worst kind of pettiness humans could muster. Historians still argue whether trees like this survive because of luck or because the people around them decide they will. He doesn't think much about Pristine anymore. The legal victories are just lines on paper now, part of a closed file in Jake's office. What matters more are the small things, the way the park draws neighbors to linger and talk, the way school kids laugh as they circle the trunk, the way sunlight through the half canopy paints dappled gold across the grass. Derek breathes deep, slow, letting the day settle. Somewhere behind him, Sarah's voice calls that the coffee's ready. He smiles, stands, and gives the tree one last glance. It's not the same as it was, but maybe that's the point. Things change, and if you fight for them, they can change into something worth keeping. The leaves whisper above him, and it almost sounds like agreement.